Good evening, folks. Paul Anderson here. Getting to do another workshop this evening on some tunes by the composer Nathaniel Gow. I will continue whether anybody's listening or no. I'm going to post them up to YouTube anyway, so they'll be there forever, quite possibly. So, Nathaniel Gow, he is certainly one of the most significant composers of Scottish fiddle music, therefore Scottish dance music. He was the fourth son of Nathaniel Gow, and Neil is regarded as the father of Scottish fiddle music. So Nathaniel, who was one of several brothers, they all played the fiddle, but he's kind of justly acknowledged as being the finest of the composers. He's generally thought to be a more sophisticated composer than his father, probably a better player, more polished, I think. Maybe not quite so much the native fire to his playing, but certainly stylish playing, and he wrote some really nice tunes. He was born in Inver, like his father, in 1763, and got his first lessons on a kit fiddle for his father, at his father's knee pretty much. But as his ability grew, he was sent to get lessons from first Robert McIntosh, who was considered Nathaniel Gow's greatest competition as a player and composer and dancing master. And McIntosh's music is often considered quite tricky, a lot of flat minor keys, so quite a polished guy. He's sometimes called Red Rob McIntosh because of his fiery red hair and his fiery temper, so it gives you a measure of the man. But Neil obviously felt it was important to give his sons the best tuition possible, so he sent him to Robert McIntosh, and he also got lessons from a man called Alexander King McGlashan, which is quite a name. But again, he was a notable player of his day, largely overlooked nowadays, but he was a great player and very well known in the period. And he was called King McGlashan because of his stately bearing and appearance, so he must have been quite the dandy. So that's Nathaniel Gow. He also studied cello with a guy called Joseph Reinagel, who went on to become the professor of music at Oxford University. So he had a great background as a player. He was a trumpet player as well, and he was appointed to His Majesty's Herald Trumpeters of Scotland. Sorry, that was a bit of a movie to mind there. So he was a great all-round musician, and he wrote some fantastic tunes. This would be familiar to a lot of folk. The Fairy Dance, that's a Nathaniel Gow tune. A lot of traditional singers would ken a tune called Caller Herring. Caller Herring, it's well kent. And the melody was written by Nathaniel, and it's supposedly based on a mixture of the calls the fishing lassies were shouting, trying to sell their fish at Leith, and also the sound of the bells of Leith on a Sunday morning. So it was a mixture of that. So that interesting wee thing. So writer of the Fairy Dance, he wrote a lot of tunes, but unfortunately he was somewhat guilty of plagiarism, and it's kind of tarnished his reputation a little bit. But his best tunes are great. So I'm really going to go for one or two tunes that are nae so well kent. I'm going to start with a slow air called Coilsfield House, which we used to play with the Bankery Susby and Real Society, and it was one of these tunes. I think it certainly felt like we played it every single week at concerts, and I'll be honest, I got a bit scunnered to it. So it kind of put me off, but I've kind of come back to it this week, just with fresh ears. So I'm going to play Coilsfield House for you, and then we'll go through it a few times and give folk a chance to maybe play along with me. Okay, so Coilsfield House, it was the home at the time of Major Hugh Montgomery, and he was the 12th Earl of Eglinton. And so quite a handsome property at the time, I'm sure. So this is a slow air. So, bonny tune that, although I haven't played it for a long time. Lovely, stylish, elegant tune, tasteful tune. So, a lovely bit of music. And I put it in my post earlier, but I was going to say this is Nathaniel Gow's fiddle. And I'd be quite happy to stick my head out and say that is probably the fiddle that played that tune to the Laird of Eglinton, Sir Hugh Montgomery. This was bought by Neil Gow. When Neil had broken and damaged his fiddle crossing the dam on the Wye He was taking a shortcut across the ice. He slipped and fell and broke his fiddle. And he took his fiddle at that time up to a man called Joseph Ruddiman in Aberdeen. So whether he took a pony or he walked the Inver near Dunkeld, the Wye, I've got no idea, but he certainly was up there. And so when he got there, hanging in the workshop behind Joseph Ruddiman was this fiddle, and Neil gave it a go and he bought it on the spot. So this was made in Aberdeen in 1777. So you get a good look at that. Some of you would be wondering, how the hell's Paul Anderson got hold of that? I've got a loan of it. This is owned by a friend of mine, Duncan Wood, who's a fine fiddle player, bites up in Cullen. And he was a good friend of Ron Ganella, who was one of the most notable fiddlers of the 70s, 80s, 60s as well, I suppose. Very well known, again a stylish player. Nathaniel Gow's music would be right up his street. And this was left to Duncan, and Duncan has given me a lend of this because I had it from a recital at Celtic Connections this year where I played the various great composers' fiddles. And because of the coronavirus lockdown, I've still got it because I'm basically not allowed out the house apart from going for walks. So the fiddle is here, but it's looked after, and it's a great thing to be able to pick up and play this wonderful music on. So if anybody's got the music that I posted, I'm going to play it again. Be wary, I sometimes change my own bowing, so if you're not quite the same as me, don't worry about it. But the bowing I've marked down does work, and it's something I'm fairly happy with. Anybody who's seen it will probably notice fairly quickly I change the bowing quite a lot. And you should never be too tied to the actual notation because it's really a matter of taste. It's a guide, and usually it'll work, but sometimes it certainly doesn't suit me. So I generally change the bowing if I'm teaching to what I would consider more my style. So Coyle's Fieldhouse, let's try it again, and it's a slow tune anyway, so there's no worry about taking it at a slow speed. But one thing about slow airs generally, they're very flexible tempo-wise. They speed up and slow down. And what I would say for Scottish music generally, pull out your long notes. Long notes really pulled out, short notes very, very short. So how I'm actually playing, sometimes it's a little bit different from how it's notated on the page. And that's one of the things that anybody who's new to traditional fiddle music, if they come from a classical background, sometimes struggle with that because what they're playing for the page is quite different from how it sounds. But you just get used to that, and it certainly helps if you're sort of immersed in traditional playing as you're growing up. So, Coyle's Fieldhouse once again. I'm going to stop there. When you get to that point and you're going to repeat, the bowing for the lead-in has to change. So I have to add in a slur for that next two lead-in notes to get me back to the right bowing. Notice bars like this you'll hear for the long notes are really pulled out. As opposed to, And then the next bit, instead of being... So you can see it is quite different actually once you get into it. It's never notated exactly how you play it. So we'll go back to where I would repeat now. Start to push it. And easing back. Going to open up in the second half a bit. There you go, a nice elegant finish, let it taper off nicely at the end, rather than this. It's a wee bit severe, so nice and elegant at the end. So if you're a fiddle player playing at the bow control, really get showed up for slow airs, they really need practice, but you hopefully get a wee bit of insight into how big a difference there is in tempo. You really can push it at sometimes and pull it right back again. It's never ever static or like something you could set a metronome for. It's just a strict tempo. You can play it that way, but it makes it a wee bit mechanical, and what you're looking for is expression and feeling and a sense of breath, because there's phrases. I think every couple of bars in this tune is the end of a phrase. That's where you really kind of take a breath before the next bit. So the music needs that. I think that's one of the reasons I would say it's close to being expressed how a singer sings it. Obviously singers breathe. You can't sing a whole song in one breath. So there's this natural places, appropriate places for you to take a breath before you sing the next phrase, and it goes like that right through, and slow airs are very like that. This tune, I mean, it's a good example of Nathaniel Gow's art. Uses the whole scope of the fiddle without going up into third position on the E string, but he uses every string. There's some quite big jumps where you have to jump across strings, for instance here. So you go for the E string, miss the A, right to the D, and then straight back up again. So that's tricky. That takes a wee bit of artistry with the bowing, because it's very easy to scuff that the string that you're trying to miss. So a bit of practice is what's required there. Certainly helps to ken what you're doing. So I think I'll play this once again right the way through. If you're playing along, try and keep tea to me. But it's really, I'm not telling you how you should play it. This is how I play it. It's a very personal thing, a slow air. And there's many different ways you can do it that are absolutely fine. There's certain things I would never do in a slow air. You want it to flow. I would never break up the tune too much. Never too much angular, aggressive stuff. It's very rare you find a slow air like that is appropriate for. But can I keep it flowing? Treat it like a highland burn, the water gently flowing up and down. Okay, right, Coilsfield House. And then we'll move on to the jig. Lovely tune. Whether you like how I play it or no, it's still a lovely tune. But no, I hope you get a sense of the fiddle. It's got a lovely sweet tone to it, the rich, warm tone. Quite different from my own fiddle to play. You will find that if you move from one instrument to another, that they're surprisingly different. They're like folk. They have different characters and different colours and different strengths. But I like this, and it's one of the nicest Scottish fiddles I've ever played. Probably the best Scottish fiddle I've ever played. And it's one of the ones I've really liked. Other than my own fiddle, it's one of the ones that I've really enjoyed playing. So it's a real pleasure and honour to get to play it. So I'm going to move on to the jig now. This is Miss Charmer. And I'll be quite honest, this isn't a tune that I ken, but I was looking for something different because I could go with the tunes I really know very well, but I think it's nice to play stuff that's less familiar. I probably would, if I did my choice, because one of my favourite jigs is Sally Hunter of Thurston, which is a Nathaniel Gow tune, and it goes... It's a great jig. I really like it. And I could do that with my own shirt. I could be practically sleeping and I could probably play it. However, this tune I absolutely do not know. I looked through one of the collections, the Gow collections, the day, and come up with this. And it's not a bad tune. It's just not his best, but it's unfamiliar. So I'm going to give it a go. I'll take this quite steady for a start, and if you've got your music, you can perhaps play along. So here we go. So I'll play it steady, and then I'm going to slow it right down and give you a chance to play along if you are trying. But it's meant to give you a sense of how it feels when you're dancing. Okay, so it's a very unusual end to that. I'll play that slow this time. Even if you're playing slowly, you should still get a sense of lift to the music. It should still dance. Okay, so right, let me ken what you think, whether you like these tunes. Somebody put up Coilsfield House was one of their favourite slow airs. That's the second time I've heard that in the last couple of weeks. Somebody asked for that a wee while ago, so it is a nice tune. This would definitely be unfamiliar, but few tricky things within this. If you are playing jigs now, we never really focused on jigs when I was getting lessons for either Angus Shaw or Dougie Lawrence. I'll be honest, whether I was thought that they're too easy, there's not enough art in them, I'm not too sure, but we certainly didn't spend a lot of time. But how I played jigs is really based on how everybody else round about me was playing when I was growing up. So there was kind of unwritten understanding about how you play the triplets. Now, if you understand a bit about notation in music, and especially traditional music, generally, by and large, when you look at the notation, when you're playing jigs, they're in groups of 3 a lot of the time. That's one of the noticeable things. And when they're notated, they're 1, 2, 3, they're all the same length on the page. But how we would tend to play them, I would say Scotland generally, but I've heard folks saying it's a Highland thing. I think it's Scotland wide. You generally play them by dotting the first note, although I'd be inclined to double dot it, so it's pulled out even further. Middle note really short, last note remains the same. So rather than being it's like this. So you get this kind of rhythm. Da, da dum, da, da dum, da, rather than da, 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 da. So hopefully you get the idea, but that's definitely something you find in Scottish fiddling. I can't comment on other folks' styles. It may be how they're played in other places like Ireland and kind of North America, but certainly in Scotland that's how you tend to play your jigs. Well, lift, it's a dance tune and you want folk to feel like they want to dance, so how you play it should inspire folk to want to get up and dance, or if they're dancing, dance even better. So try and get a wee bit of lift into that. I find after my first note of the triplet, before you play the second, there's a tiny little bit of air. And this space just, I think that gives it a sense of lift. Air to the music helps give it that feel. So rather than so it's, if I break down how I play it without having studied it that way, that's definitely how I play it, and hopefully that would provide that. So it might be dull as dishwater, but if you're looking to find how you get a bit of danceability into your jigs, that would be one of the things that is maybe overlooked. But certainly that little bit of space, but dotting the first note, that certainly does a lot. So let's go back to the beginning. There's a couple of wee things. Last line. Okay, so you've got to hear every single note. Tidy playing. Okay, nice scrappy stuff. Takes practice. But you've got to hear every note. And the thing in jigs, the middle note in the triplet frequently gets underplayed a little bit. So you want to try and make sure, even though the notes are short, they're clearly and articulately played. And then the rhythm will be there for you. Okay, so let's just play this through a couple times, nice and steady, and then third time I'll pick up the tempo a bit. Okay. Okay, you might want to practice that last bar, but aye, I would say that's a fairly good tempo for Scottish country dancing. If there's only the proper Scottish country dancers out there that go to the RSCDS clubs, they might be able to comment. But to me, that would be a pretty good tempo for Scottish country dancing. If you're at a ceilidh, you might want something a bit more lively. But it's how long's a bit of string, it's up to your taste really. Okay, so that's a jig by Nathaniel Gow on Nathaniel Gow's fiddle. Look at that. Screenshot. Beautiful. Look at that. It's got its original pegs and everything. Magic. This is for the fiddle anoraks out there, you get a good look at it. So, right, let's move on now. I'm going to finish up with a strathspey. Now I'm going to hit a sugarless about because I need the music because I have to play if nobody else is playing. So, sorry, that's not a good shot. Right up my nose. What the hell? I think I've lost it. Oh, am I back again? Is it back? I think so.
Just a good bit behind now.
Right, so Lady Mary Ramsay is what I'm going to play now. So this is a strathspey, quite a tricky strathspey, but there's a few interesting things in it. Of course, you don't have to play all the tricky bones, but if you can't play them, they add quite a lot. So I'm going to go right at the beginning. If you've got the music, I'm using the second tail bit. Okay, so it's. Playing that. Okay, so I'll go to the beginning. I'm going to take it steady so you can hear everything. Okay. Okay, so tricky tune, quite a lot going on there. It was actually pretty close to a speed I would play that, so I'm going to take that slower. There's quite a lot to look out for. Unisons at the beginning, they really give that a bit of fire in the belly, rather than up-driven bow. Snap bows. The biddle. Okay, so quite a lot to get your teeth into. I'm aware this is not the easiest strathspey I could have picked, but I think it just demonstrates a wee bit. I'm not looking to turn anybody into a master fiddler. Just a couple goes through this tune, but hopefully there'll be a few bits and pieces that will be helpful. So I'm going to play this slowly now. Lady Mary Ramsay. So a lot to get your teeth into there. I said earlier that Nathaniel Gow's music was a bit more cultured than his father's, but that tune has got plenty of native fire in it. It's got loads of, if it would call gur, when we used to hear some of the old boys speaking about playing strathspeys, they would say things like, you need a bit of gur in it. And I never really came to what that meant, other than it sounded like you have to get really stuck in. But it's a proper Scots word in the Scots language or dialect. And it just means with fire and force. And that really does capture how you should play it. So you play tunes like this with gur. And things like the unison will, that will definitely give you that. The up-driven bow gives you lift and drive. Snappy, really snappy on these snaps. Sounds obvious, but in practice you often, I would like to hear a bit more. They should be played with snap. That's why they're called snap bows. Pull out your long notes, keep your short notes short. Good for practicing your snap bows. With variation. So it's up to you. I mean, there's various options here that you can really choose how you play it, but it's a good tune. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, play this once, and I think that'll be it. Really, just a few tunes by Nathaniel Gow on his own fiddle, which is pretty cool from my point of view. So, Lady Mary Ramsay to finish up. With gur this time. Thank you very much. If you've been looking in, nice to hear from you. And we've got our concert on Friday. What's in the box? What's in the box? Live for the lounge at 8 o'clock UK time. If you've enjoyed this tonight, look in next week. I've no idea how many we've done now, but I've done quite a few workshops on a Wednesday night. It'll be on something different next week. I'll think about that before then. Just maybe some tunes that I like. But if you've enjoyed it, it's totally free. If you want to chip in, that's grand as well. It's www.paypal.me/Paul Anderson Shona Dawn. So thanks for looking in, folks. And this has made me sweat. How that heavy strathspey action gets you in a bit of a froth. So anyway, good night, folks. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week, where we continue to be under lockdown. So we'll see you later.